これはまた、随分と。聞き方でます。でござるな。ミス・ファリーヌ、大丈夫か？
問題ありませんよ。地上の方々ですね。ようこそいらっしゃいました。できればお茶でも差し上げて、ゆっくりお話をしたいところなのですが、今は少々立て込んでおりまして。
そうなんだ。星クジラやミコに何かあったんじゃないかって、ペガが。
そうです。
ミコにしろ！
失礼しました。ご覧の通り、星クジラは今、病と戦っているんです。星クジラが病にかかると、体内で凝縮した悪しき空気が、こういった形で現れるんです。私たちは病魔と呼んでいます。この病魔がはびこることで、星クジラは体調を崩しますし、病魔が星クジラの中から溢れ出せば、空海の島々に、地上にまで災いが訪れる可能性もあります。
なるほど。そういうことなのでありますね。星クジラの病はどうすれば治る？
星クジラは歌を愛します。星の民の歌で、星クジラは自己の治癒力を高め、健康を維持しているのですが。
星の民？星クジラの中にも人が住んでる国があるのかな？アリアと言ったか。王子を助けたというあの子も星の民だと思う。それにしては少し変わっていたけれど。
アリアを知っているのですか？
ああ、私たちの連れが迷子になってるのを救出した。足の様子が少しおかしかったようにも見えたし、どうしてここにいるのか覚えてないって。
そうですか。その子は今どこに？
別行動してるグループと一緒。はぐれたカリュウを探してくれてるんだ。
カリュウ、あの子ですか。もう皆を乗せて飛べるほどに大きくなったのですね。私も探して連れてきましょう。地上からのお客様は星の民のところに。詳しい話はそちらでしましょう。
でも。
私の分身一体を案内にしてね。
よろしくお願いしますね。
あなたはシャルのお友達のお迎えに。あなたはカリュウを探しにね。
了解。
ルリです。よろしく。
お友達でござるかな？
改めてありがとうございました。時間がかかってしまいましたが、カリュウも無事見つかりましたし。
やっほ
ー。これで私たちの心配事もなくなった。お別れの時間だな。
ええ。その前に。
はい。
地上の皆さんの勇気と尽力に、感謝の印をお渡ししたいと思います。地上では幻獣や神獣と呼ばれているとか。
神の使いだとか、見るだけでご利益があるとか。そのこの目で見たのはペガとカナコだけでござる。
嘘のようでありますか？
確かに変身前はそっくりだった。カナコも変身するとあんな感じになるんだよ。
友情の証として皆さんにこの子をお渡しし。
なんだ？
ガウル王子のことを気に入ったようですね。
ならば、三国同盟を代表して、ガレットで預からせていただくということでよろしいか？
ええ、それが良いでしょう。
A boy named Shinku decided to jump out of the school window to exercise his acrobatic skills. In midair, a mysterious dog with a sword appeared and opened a magical portal, and before Shinku knew it, he found himself in the magical world of Flaniard. Flaniard was a place unlike any Shinku had ever seen. The people there resembled humans, but they also had the ears and tails of animals. Kingdoms played a war game to negotiate instead of actual battles. The winners received rewards, which boosted the economy and trained the soldiers to fight demons. Shinku's arrival in Flaniard was no coincidence. The dog Princess Milier had summoned him to help defend Biscotti from invasion by the neighboring army, Gaul. When he arrived at the battlefield, he was overwhelmed by the sight of the two armies clashing with each other in a competitive game. Instead of using weapons and violence, Shinku heads to the palace to dress up as an imperial warrior. There, dog Princess Milier gives him a sacred sword, which takes the form of a ring that can transform into any weapon he desires. After learning the rules of the game, Shinku heads to the battlefield to showcase his skills. His weapon, the ring, transforms into a stick that he uses to turn the enemy soldiers into beast balls, a system to avoid injuries. With Shiki's skills, Biscotti managed to earn points and turn the tide of the battle in their favor. To reach the front line, Shinku crosses a bridge where he skillfully takes down enemies by throwing them into the river. Once he arrives, he joins Captain Eclair to fight against the enemy commander Leon and her forces. Together, Shinku and Eclair activate Magic Seal's cannon by channeling their life force into a spirit spell, resulting in an energy blast that disperses the Gaul forces and turns them into beast balls. Leon launches a sudden attack that catches Shinku off guard, but Eclair intercepts the attack and shields Shinku from harm. They then attempt to strike Leon, but she dodges their attack and retaliates with an explosive spell that causes a powerful blast. However, Shinku and Eclair manage to avoid the attack by quickly flying away. They surround Leon and slash her simultaneously with their weapons, causing her armor to break. Without her armor, Leon is unable to protect herself and eventually surrenders. Leon leaves the battlefield, warning Shinku to be prepared for the next battle. After the battle, Shinku receives an invitation from the Imperial Knight Ronald to attend a banquet to celebrate the victory. However, feeling homesick and yearning to return home, Shinku declines the offer. Shinku's desire to return home is intensified when he learns that he cannot return home once summoned. This realization leaves him feeling dejected and helpless. Shinku's deepest wish is to reunite with his family and friends, but the harsh truth is that he may never be able to return to his old life. In an effort to lift Shinku's spirits, Eclair rewards him with money and takes him to Scholar Ricotta, who is dedicated to finding a way to send Shinku back to his original world. Ricotta creates a device that allows Shinku to call his family and friend Rebecca, giving him a sense of comfort and connection with his home world. Shinku's spirits are lifted as he knows that he can stay connected with his loved ones despite being far away. Shinku decides to embrace his role as Biscotti's hero and prepares to attend the winning celebration. However, the joyous occasion is disrupted when Gaul, the younger brother of Leon, broadcasts his trio of bodyguards taking the dog princess away. They then reveal Gaul's challenge against Shinku, revealing he must rescue the princess. When Shinku accepts the challenge to rescue the kidnapped princess, Eclair is initially frustrated with him for taking such a drastic action that could have serious consequences. Despite her anger, Shinku and Eclair ride their bird-like creatures towards the enemy's castle to rescue the princess. Knowing that it's impossible for just two people to deal with the entire army, Ricotta unleashes artillery bombardment on Gaulet's forces, allowing Shinku and Eclair to breach their defense line and engage in battle. The battle rages on as Shinku and Eclair fight fiercely against the enemy soldiers. However, the tide of the battle changes when Gaulet's forces locate Ricotta and force her to surrender, leading to the bombardment stopping and the enemy cornering Shinku and Eclair. Despite the odds stacked against them, Shinku and Eclair refuse to surrender and fight back with all their courage. However, Shinku's stubbornness and unwillingness to surrender lead the enemy knights to attack him all at once. Just as things are looking bleak for Shinku and Eclair, Biscotti's knight leader Brioche and her partner Yukikaze arrive to save them. The knight leaders hold off the enemy's frontline forces, giving Shinku and Eclair a chance to escape. As they reach the castle gate, Shinku and Eclair encounter Gaul's trio of bodyguards. Eclair takes care of them, and Shinku enters the palace to face off with Gaul, who is waiting for his arrival. As the duel between Shinku and Gaul begins, they both rush forward to attack each other. Gaul blocks Shinku's attack with his spear, and their weapons clash with equal force. However, Shinku's strength corners him and breaks Gaul's spear. In retaliation, Gaul activates his claw power to strike, pushing Shinku away. The explosive energy released by Gaul causes Shinku to fall to the ground. However, before getting hit, Shinku uses a defensive position that protects him from harm and helps him to stand up quickly. After recovering, Shinku turns his stick into a short spear and a dagger and combines it with magical power to overpower Gaul. However, their fight is abruptly interrupted by the sudden entrance of Leon, who is angry and stops their duel. Leon is frustrated with Gaul's actions and frees the dog princess, apologizing for her brother's behavior. In order to reach the celebration before it begins, Shinku uses his life force to create a flying board, based on Gaul's ability to create magic claws. The board allows them to speed up and cover more distance in less time. While they're heading back, the princess expresses her doubts and worries about her capabilities as a leader. Shinku, being the hero he is, uplifts the princess's spirits by giving her words of encouragement. He assures her that she can be a good leader and that she has the potential to lead her kingdom towards success. As Shinku continues to motivate and reassure her, the bond between the two of them grows even stronger. Milier honors Shinku and the Knight Squad for their heroic contributions in rescuing her. Brioche and Yukikaze got so impressed by Shinku's skills that they later reveal a rumor that a hero can return home after fulfilling his duties. This news brings Shinku great relief, and he begins to feel hopeful about returning home to his family and friends. Later that evening, Shinku dresses up to meet with the dog princess. During dinner, she praises him for his never-give-up attitude and his determination to fight to the fullest. She explains that these very qualities have earned him the honor of becoming a true hero. Shinku is moved by her kind words, and they both look up at the starry sky together. From that moment on, a bond began to form between them as they spent more and more time together. But their peaceful days were about to be shattered when Leon challenges Biscotti to a war, with the stakes being 2 sacred swords from each kingdom. This puts immense pressure on Milier, who is forced to wager 2 sacred swords of Biscotti to match the challenge. The gravity of the situation leaves her in despair and shock, causing her to call a meeting with the Royal Council to discuss the matter. As Milier struggles to cope with the situation, Shinku receives a message from Gaul asking to meet him. Despite Gaul being from the enemy kingdom, Shinku decides to meet him and learn more about his intentions. In their meeting, Gaul reveals that he is against the war between the 2 kingdoms, which have a long history of being allies. Despite past battles being fun and rewarding for both nations, Gaul fears that this time will be different. He remembers how Milier and Leon were once like sisters until Leon had a vision of Milier's death. To prevent this tragedy, Leon distanced herself from the dog princess and declared war to win Biscotti's sacred swords. As tensions rise, Princess Milier broadcasts to the nation announcing that Biscotti accepts the war proposal and promises to win the battle. This announcement sparks a wave of uproar throughout the kingdom as the people brace themselves for what is to come. On the day of the battle, the skies above Flaniard are filled with the deafening roar of 20,000 Biscotti troops marching towards Galette's floating fort. The tension in the air is palpable as both sides prepare for the epic war. The commentators signal the start of the battle, and the clash of swords and shields echoes across the battlefield. The Galette forces have their sights set on Shinku, and they will stop at nothing to take his sacred sword. With no other choice, Shinku teams up with Eclair, and they unleash a powerful seal spell to stop the barrage of arrows flying towards them. Despite their best efforts, the chaos of battle soon separates Shinku from his comrades, leaving him surrounded by enemy forces. Just as all seems lost, Yukikaze swoops in and saves Shinku with an explosive arrow, sending the enemy forces scattering. The Biscotti Knights regroup to protect the dog princess, using a clever spell to disguise her as Ricotta and allowing her to fight without detection. But suddenly, a warning signal fires from Ricotta at the royal fort, indicating that something is amiss. As they approach the fort, Shinku activates a shield spell to protect Milier, and uses his stick to deflect the enemy's missile attack while Eclair annihilates the gatekeepers, allowing Biscotti's troops to enter the fortress. The atmosphere is heavy with tension, as the darkness of the thunderous sky creates an aura of despair and hopelessness. The group is left behind as Milier confronts Leon alone at the top of the fortress. Suddenly, a sealed demon appears in the sky, adding to the sense of dread and fear, the same demon Leon saw killing the dog princess in her vision. The powerful demon is unleashed from its seal, wreaking havoc on the battlefield. Amid the destruction, Shinku musters all his courage and climbs to the top of the fortress to save Milier from the demon's grasp. There, he finds Leon gravely wounded and the demon devouring Milier's power, determined to consume her completely. With her life on the line, Shinku must act fast and use all his strength to protect her from the demon's deadly grip. As Shinku hurtles towards the powerful demon on his flying board, his heart races with the knowledge that his beloved Milier is in grave danger. But the demon is not about to give up easily, and it throws all manner of obstacles in Shinku's path. Despite the odds, Shinku refuses to back down, his resolve to save Milier growing stronger with every passing moment. He engages the demon in an epic battle, using his sacred sword to strike at its multiple tentacles with all his might. But the demon unleashes a devastating attack that leaves Shinku bleeding and battered. Desperate to protect himself, he uses his flying board as a shield and prepares to strike back with all the strength he can muster. Shinku is suddenly distracted by the sight of Milier trapped in a round barrier. With a cry of anguish, he rushes to her side and implores her to wake up. To his amazement, Milier suddenly breaks free from the barrier, and their sacred sword magically heals their wounds. Together, they launch a fierce counterattack against the demon, determined to end its reign of terror once and for all. But as the battle reaches its climax, Shinku is forced to confront a heartbreaking truth. The demon was once a fox cub deity, cursed to turn evil after being stabbed with a wicked sword. Shinku is determined to save the poor creature, but removing the demonic sword from its body will put him in grave danger. With courage and determination, Shinku pulls the cursed sword from the demon's body, releasing the curse and returning the fox cub to its former self. As the battle comes to a close, Shinku and Eclair rush to protect the wounded Milier from any remaining danger. Suddenly, a broadcast echoes across both nations, and Leon announces an end to the conflict. The decision allows Shinku to witness a heartfelt reunion between Milier and Leon, once again like sisters. As the days in Flaniard draw to a close, Shinku is met with bittersweet emotions as he spends his remaining time with his friends. However, his heart aches with sorrow as Ricotta delivers a crushing revelation. He can return to his homeland, but at the cost of losing all his memories and experiences in Flaniard. Though devastated, Shinku remains determined to cherish his last moments with his friends and requests Ricotta to keep the truth a secret to spare them from the pain of his departure. Shinku makes the most of his remaining time and creates unforgettable memories with his friends. The eve of his departure brings a tearful but joyous farewell party arranged by Milier. In his heartfelt speech, Shinku thanks his friends for their unwavering support and promises to return to Flaniard soon. As Shinku prepares to leave Flaniard behind, he cannot help but feel a deep sadness in his heart. He returns the sacred sword to Milier and gives his belongings to his friends, hoping they will remember him always. But it is the goodbye to his beloved princess that truly breaks his heart. As they confess their love to each other, the teleportation circle activates, whisking Shinku away. Back in his world, Shinku wakes up in his bed with tears in his eyes, unable to recall his magical adventures in Flaniard. Despite returning to his everyday life with family and friends, he feels a hollow emptiness inside. The world seems dull and lifeless without the vibrant colors and excitement of Flaniard. But one day, under a cherry blossom tree, he encounters a dog carrying a sacred ring. Suddenly, his memories of Flaniard come flooding back, and his heart fills with joy. Renewing his vow to visit Flaniard soon, Shinku knows that he will never forget the friends and memories he made in that magical world.
これはまた随分と
仕方でますでござるな。
ミス・ファリーヌ、大丈夫か？
問題ありませんよ。地上の方々ですね。ようこそいらっしゃいました。できればお茶でも差し上げて、ゆっくりお話をしたいところなのですが、今は少々立て込んでおりまして。
そうなんだ。星クジラやミコに何かあったんじゃないかって、ペガが。
そうだ。
ミコ、後ろ！
失礼しました。ご覧の通り、星クジラは今、病と戦っているんです。星クジラが病にかかると、体内で凝縮した悪しき空気が、こういった形で現れるんです。私たちは病魔と呼んでいます。この病魔がはびこることで、星クジラは体調を崩しますし、病魔が星クジラの中から溢れ出せば、空海の島々に 地上にまで災いが訪れる可能性もあります。
なるほど。
そういうことなのでありますね。
星クジラの病はどうすれば治るの？
星クジラは歌を愛します。星の民の歌で、星クジラは自己の治癒力を高め、健康を維持しているのですが。
星の民？星クジラの中にも人が住んでる国があるのかな？アリアと言ったか。王子を助けたというあの子も星の民だと思う。それにしては少し変わっていたけれど。
アリア？アリアを知っているのですか？
ああ、私たちの連れが迷子になってるのを救出した。足の様子が少しおかしかったようにも見えたし、どうしてここにいるのか覚えてないって。
そうですか。その子は今どこに？
別行動してるグループと